Hello everyone, my name is Finn and today's topic is the Celtic mythology. The Celtic mythology is the religion of the Iron Age Celts, who in the first millennium BCE inhabited pretty much all of Europe, from the Iberian Peninsula all the way to the Black Sea. One probable Proto-Celtic culture was the Urnfield culture in Central Europe in 1100 BC. Buried vases have been found with the ashes of the deceased, which led scholars to believe that it must have been a flourishing culture. This Proto-Celtic culture developed into various Celtic subgroups like the Gauls in present-day France and Belgium, the Galicians in east of Spain, the Galatians in Anatolia, and many more. These tribes are mostly bound by the use of language and by other cultural similarities. Like other Iron Age Europeans, the Celts maintained a polytheistic mythology. For Celts in close contact with ancient Rome, like the Gauls, their mythology did not survive the Roman Empire, because the Gauls and almost all other continental Celts over time were engulfed by other people and eventually lost their language, their culture, and their religion. Unfortunately, there is also very little authentic attestation. Actually, there is so little surviving material that scholars now believe that the Romans must have destroyed most of it. So it is mostly through contemporary Roman and Christian sources that the Celtic mythology has been preserved. And when you are reading these sources, you always have to keep in mind that you are reading an outsider's perspective and the attestation is probably pretty pejorative in general. The Celtic people who maintained either political or linguistic identities, such as the Gaels in Ireland and Scotland, the Welsh in Wales, and the Celtic Britons of southern Great Britain and Brittany, lingered on and wrote down some short inscriptions in the OM script, which were mainly just short personal names. More sophisticated literacy was not introduced to the Celtic areas until the advent of Christianity. So what is Celtic mythology like? Although the Celtic world at its height covered much of Western and Central Europe, it was not politically unified, nor was there any substantial central source of cultural influence. As a result, there was a great deal of variation in local practices of Celtic religion. The Celts knew a large number of gods, and many places and clans in Gaul and the British Isles had their own tutelary deity. Above that, there was a limited number of deities that seemed to be somewhat more widespread. In Ireland, for example, the supreme god Dagda was known. Furthermore, the gods were sometimes worshipped as triads and later depicted with 3 faces. According to some scholars, the concept of the Holy Trinity was later introduced into Christianity under this Celtic influence. The Greek scholar Strabo reported that the Celtic religion was complicated. The Celts believed in an instant afterlife. Whoever died was immediately reborn, regardless of good or evil deeds. There was only a blurred line between this world and the one on the other side of this life. In certain places and times, this line even dissolved completely, and then the dead, gods, spirits, and people all mixed up for a moment. For example, on Samhain, the Celtic New Year, one had to be careful not to be taken by spirits. A hollowed out bead with a candle flame in it could scare ghosts off, and people could also disguise themselves as a dead or ghost to deceive them. The oak was the most important tree amongst the Celts, and magical powers were also attributed to mistletoe. In particular, magical fertility rituals were enhanced by the mistletoe. Mistletoe infusions could make any sterile animal fertile. It was also a remedy for every poison. According to some scholars, the Celts, and especially their druids, were suspicious of writing down and preferred the spoken word and a well-trained memory. Books would make students dependent on the written word. They did believe that knowledge should be accessible to ordinary people as well. The poets and bards therefore always enjoyed a special appreciation. These poets continued to recite the sagas long after Ireland was Christianized. It's a pity that none of the original Celtic myths and stories have survived. Probably our best guess to get a sense of what these stories might have been like and what kind of figures played in them is to read the Irish or the Welsh myth, but that would take us too far, so I will leave that for another video.